Okay, so think about like when you really need to just get that extra boost of energy. Like if you have to focus, maybe you're pulling an all-nighter, you have to like get ready for a big presentation or something.
Yeah.
Chances are, that silver and blue can with those bulls on it probably pops into your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Red Bull.
Yeah.
It's basically like a universal symbol now.
It is.
But have you ever really stopped and thought about like how a drink that started out kind of niche, right?
Yeah.
Exploded into this massive like global presence?
Yeah.
It's more than just like a caffeine hit.
You're absolutely right. It really is.
I'm really interested to dive into that.
Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. We've got this super interesting analysis from Cognitive Market Research. It just came out this month, March 14th, 2025.
Oh, wow. So it's really recent.
Yeah, super recent. And it really digs into how market research was like the foundation, the bedrock for Red Bull's just crazy rise to the top. Our goal today is to try to understand how they transformed from like this Thai energy drink concept. It was originally called Creating Day. Right, Creating Day, yeah. Into this like worldwide lifestyle brand.
It is a lifestyle brand. Now, it's not just a drink.
Yeah. And you know what we'll see is that some like really smart, really sharp research was just absolutely key.
I'm fascinated to see how that played out.
Yeah.
Okay, so the article starts off by taking us back to the 80s when Dietrich Mateschitz discovered Creating Dang in Thailand.
Right.
But, he didn't just like the taste and decide to sell it like all over the world.
No.
The article makes it clear that he immediately saw this bigger potential
Totally.
for this drink beyond just, its local market.
Right.
So he dove in head first to try to understand the Western market.
Yeah.
So let's focus on that initial phase.
Okay.
How did all of that early research shape the whole identity of Red Bull, like how we see it now?
What's so cool to think about is that their initial research, like right off the bat, it showed that there was a real gap in the market.
Oh.
They weren't trying to compete directly with all those like regular soda brands.
Gotcha. So they weren't going after Coke and Pepsi.
Exactly. They were looking at this specific segment of the Western market.
Okay.
Like young professional students, people who are into like extreme sports.
Okay, those who like to push the limits.
Yeah, exactly. And they were all looking for something more than just a drink. Something more than just refreshment.
Right.
They wanted something that would actually give them like a tangible benefit.
Like a functional benefit.
Exactly. Enhanced energy, both physical stamina and mental alertness.
So it's like a boost for your body and your mind.
Yeah, and that's the really key insight here. Red Bull recognized that there was this need for functional energy and it wasn't being met.
So instead of trying to be everything to everyone, they really laser focused in.
Exactly. And the article really emphasizes how this research directly shaped their premium positioning.
Yeah.
They didn't aim to be the cheapest option out there. They wanted to present themselves as like high performance fuel,
Like a premium product.
Yeah, it's like they were saying this isn't just another drink, it's an upgrade for what you can do.
And that's powerful.
It is. And if we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, this research-driven differentiation was absolutely crucial.
I can see that.
By not trying to appeal to like the masses and instead focusing on this specific demand for enhanced performance, Red Bull established themselves as like a symbol.
Totally.
They became associated with like high achievement, that excitement of adventure and pushing personal boundaries.
And stuck with them.
The article even says that this initial strategic brand positioning, which all came from those early consumer insights, is what's still fueling their global success today.
Wow. So that's a huge takeaway.
It is.
They knew exactly who their target audience was and what they needed.
Right.
But knowing that is just the first step.
Yeah.
How do you actually get the message out there?
That's the next challenge.
So the article gets into their marketing strategy.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it was just as unconventional and research-informed as their whole brand positioning.
Absolutely. The article points out that their early market research really showed that traditional advertising like TV ads and print ads just wouldn't resonate with their target audience.
They make sense.
These are thrill seekers, high achievers. They're not going to be swayed by a typical commercial.
Right.
So Red Bull basically threw out the old marketing playbook and pioneered this whole new approach called experiential marketing.
Experiential. Okay, love that word, but what does that actually look like in the Red Bull world?
Instead of just showing you an ad for Red Bull, they put themselves right in the middle of the environments where their target audience was already hanging out and getting excited.
Okay, so they're like immersing themselves in the experience.
Exactly. The article gives some great examples. Formula One, racing, motocross, cliff diving, skateboarding competitions, even those crazy adventure-based reality challenges.
Yeah, those are amazing visuals.
Right, and these weren't just passive sponsorships. They were like deeply integrated partnerships.
Okay.
They were Red Bull organized events that created these really memorable brand experiences.
So they were part of the action.
They were part of the action, and that's the key insight here. They didn't just sponsor events, they became part of the experience, weaving their brand into the activities their audience loved.
That's really smart.
And it's way more powerful than any traditional ad could ever be.
Yeah, when you see that Red Bull logo at those events,
Yeah,
it's hard not to connect the drink with that level of performance and excitement.
absolutely. It's not just a logo, it's woven into the whole fabric of the event.
And the article mentions influencer marketing too,
Yes.
which is huge now.
It is.
But it sounds like Red Bull was ahead of the game on that one too.
Yeah, they were way ahead of the curve. They worked with athletes, esports gamers, and content creators whose lifestyles matched those core brand values.
Energy, endurance, peak performance.
Exactly. And these weren't just paid endorsements, they were genuine partnerships.
Right.
That added credibility and aspirational appeal to the brand.
And made Red Bull more than just a drink.
It became a symbol of belonging to this community of high achievers.
Okay, so what about their famous slogan, Red Bull gives you wings?
Ah, yeah.
So recognizable.
It's catchy.
The article says that even that came from research.
That's right. Believe it or not, that slogan was actually crafted based on direct consumer research.
Wow.
They figured out exactly what their audience wanted to hear, and that phrase just perfectly captures the core promise of the brand.
That feeling of enhanced energy vitality.
Exactly. It's concise, it's memorable, and it directly addresses that functional benefit they identified early on.
I feel like it's almost become part of our everyday language.
It has, you hear, gives you wings, and you instantly think of Red Bull.
Exactly. And then there's Red Bull Media House.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a whole other level of marketing commitment.
It really is. They basically transformed into their own content production powerhouse.
That's wild.
They make high-quality sports documentaries, they cover music festivals, and they produce tons of digital content showcasing incredible athletic achievements, behind-the-scenes stories, and those viral marketing stunts we all see online.
So it's not just selling a product anymore. It's about building this whole narrative,
Yeah.
this whole world around the brand
Yeah.
through storytelling, and it all stems from a deep understanding of what their audience actually wants.
Absolutely. And the article really emphasizes how this content-driven strategy has been essential in keeping them at the top.
It makes sense.
By constantly engaging their audience with content they actually want to watch and share.
Right.
Red Bull has created this iconic brand that goes way beyond just drinks.
They're selling a feeling and identity.
Exactly.
Okay, so the article also talks about their global expansion.
Right.
You'd think a company with such a specific brand identity
Yeah.
might have trouble adapting to different markets.
You would think that.
But it sounds like your research was key here, too.
Oh, absolutely. They didn't just try to flood every market at once. They were
Ah.
really selective about where they went. They started in Austria, and then they focused on markets where they saw a strong demand for energy drinks already.
Like the US, Europe, and Asia.
Exactly.
So they weren't using a one-size-fits-all approach.
Nope, not at all. Before entering a new market, they did a ton of research on local consumer behavior, lifestyle preferences, even cultural nuances.
They really wanted to understand each market individually.
They did. They had to know the specific characteristics of each region.
And they give that specific example in the article, right?
Yeah, about North America.
Yeah.
Their research there showed that students who were up late studying night shift workers and athletes were their key demographics.
Makes sense.
And they tailored their marketing campaigns to specifically resonate with those groups.
So it's all about understanding the needs of each local market and then adjusting your product distribution and your promotion to fit.
Exactly, while still maintaining that core premium brand image.
Which is a tough thing to do.
It is. It's a delicate balance, but their research-first approach allowed them to pull it off.
And become successful in all these different places.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about the results.
Okay.
All this in-depth research and innovative marketing.
Yeah.
What kind of impact did it have on their sales?
Well,
And more importantly, on building that loyal customer base?
the article is super clear about this. Red Bull's research-driven approach is the reason for their crazy business success.
Okay.
By positioning themselves as this lifestyle brand that's all about adventure and high performance,
Yeah.
they've created a really loyal customer base.
So people aren't just buying Red Bull for the caffeine.
no way they're buying into the lifestyle.
It's like they're buying a piece of that identity.
Right, and the article contrasts this with competitors who are just focused on like ingredients or flavor
They
profiles.
listen to the bigger picture.
Exactly. Red Bull's focus on the whole experience,
Yeah.
which is based on all that deep consumer research has led to much stronger customer retention.
And people sticking with the brand.
Absolutely. The article also points out how their innovative marketing tactics like guerrilla marketing, viral online campaigns, and social media engagement have all played a huge role in boosting sales.
And you can't forget their physical presence at all those events.
Oh, yeah.
Music festivals, extreme sports competitions, gaming tournaments.
They're everywhere.
It's like they're always right where their target audience is.
And that's the key. This consistent and strategic presence keeps them in front of their core demographic.
So they're always top of mind.
Exactly. Which is so important for maintaining market share, even with more and more competitors popping up.
It's a smart strategy.
It is, and the article really drives this home by saying that this continuous cycle of using market research to adapt and refine their strategies is what keeps Red Bull ahead of the game.
It's like a masterclass in branding.
It really is.
And speaking of impactful marketing, the article has this fast fact about Red Bull Stratos.
Yeah.
I remember that so clearly. Felix Baumgartner jumping from the stratosphere. How does that incredible feat tie into their market research?
What's really interesting is that Red Bull Stratos, that crazy, ambitious, high-altitude skydiving project back in 2012, is a perfect example of their market research in action.
Okay.
They knew their audience was fascinated by the extraordinary by pushing limits.
Right. They like to see people doing the impossible.
Exactly. And that's what Red Bull Stratos was. It was this unbelievable achievement, this record-breaking jump.
And the article says it got over 50 million live stream views.
I know, it's crazy.
That's insane.
And the article says that this whole project directly reinforced Red Bull's brand identity as a pioneer in extreme sports and adventure.
So it wasn't just a publicity stunt.
No, it was a powerful statement about what the brand stood for.
Right.
And it became one of the most successful marketing campaigns in history.
Wow.
And it all came from understanding what their audience was really drawn to.
It all comes back to that research.
It does.
Okay, so let's put it all together. What are the key takeaways from this deep dive into Red Bull's market research journey?
The big takeaway is that Red Bull's success wasn't an accident.
Right.
It wasn't luck.
No.
It was built on a foundation of deeply understanding their target audience.
Like really understanding them.
Yeah, they went beyond just surface level stuff.
Right.
They dug into their needs, their desires, their behaviors, and that research informed every single part of their business.
It's amazing.
From their initial product positioning to their innovative marketing strategies and their global expansion.
So for our listeners who are tuning in to learn something new and interesting, Red Bull's story is a perfect example of the power of truly understanding your audience.
Absolutely.
No matter who that audience is.
Right.
It's like that aha moment when you realize how those deep consumer insights can translate into building a globally recognized and crazy successful brand.
It's really inspiring.
It is.
And it raises a question for you to think about: what kind of market research could you do even on a small scale?
Yeah.
To better understand the people who are interested in what you have to offer.
What do they need? What do they want?
Exactly. Could understanding their core need, their energy drink equivalent, unlock your own gives you wings moment?
That's a great question to ponder.
It is food for thought.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with me today.
This was fun.
Until next time.
See you later.